Danny, New York City. You're on the Wilkow Majority. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want to challenge you on something. So do you think there should be no regulation of guns whatsoever?
I've never once said that, sir. They have to be constitutionally compliant. They have to fit with the Second Amendment and the 10th Amendment.
Okay, so gun on planes, gun in churches, all that stuff is okay?
Again, 10th Amendment.
Okay, so there is
So guns in churches, that would be handled at the state level.
Okay, so there is regulation. You just don't want a large body in Washington to be the central
I just want it to be. There are things about that are constitutional that I disagree with, and there are things that I personally might agree with, but they aren't in the Constitution. Therefore, to be constitutional and a constitutionalist, I have to be willing to say, look, I didn't get what I wanted there, or I won't get what I want there, and that's what I have to live with. That's life in a constitutional republic.
See, what drives people crazy is that most people want to be able to carry their guns on one part of the country, concealed or not concealed, and the other part of the country doesn't want guns concealed, or they don't want to walk down the street and say, wait a second, that guy might think I'm looking at him wrong. He might be legally allowed to have a gun, and if he doesn't like me, or if he wants my wife, or he wants...
Well, hold on a second, sir. Legal carry of firearms does not mean that you get to shoot somebody who looks at you the wrong way.
But who's to say that they didn't? If it's just you and him walking down the street, he could take...
Okay, even in the most extreme stand your ground laws, you can't shoot somebody for looking at you funny. Okay?
No, but how about bring the gun to a knife to a gunfight, which you famously said. So if I'm in a bar and somebody's holding a beer bottle and...
Okay, and then again, private property, state law and private property kicks in. I had concealed carry in West Virginia, and you weren't allowed to carry in any restaurant or tavern that made more than 50% of its revenue from alcohol. So that the idea, sir, that in the absence of federal action, that we're going to be living in the wastelands of the road warrior is nonsense. There are sir, hold on, let me finish my point. There are more than two choices between central planning and nihilism. It's not like we either all submit ourselves to utopia or we all live in the deserts. There are state laws, county laws, and municipal laws, sir, and there's also the rights of private property holders.
But that's what you're advocating when you say that if they touch our guns, then it's a nihilism approach. It's like, oh, they're going to take away all of our guns. They're not going to take away all of our guns. They're going to take away...
But there's no power of the federal government to take away any of our guns, sir.
It's not to take away, it's to regulate in a better...
If you're taking them away, if you're saying, here's a gun that's legal today, you can't have it tomorrow, that's the federal government overstepping the bounds of the Constitution to take something away from you that was once legal and now illegal by the fiat of the federal government.
Now, if you're saying as a government, the federal government can't regulate, they can empower the states to have to regulate, no?
No. That's what the 10th Amendment says. Now, if you want to talk about, hold on, and you want to go one, if you want to go one step further and say the regulation of commerce, which is to make things regular, not to issue whatever what crazy laws they want, but I'll go down that path. If you want to try to stop the interstate transport of certain types of firearms, that's one thing, but it's another thing to say, well, if you have a gun plant in Arizona, you can't make guns for use in the state of Arizona. There's no authority of the federal government to do that, just as there's no federal authority for the federal government to tell you can't smoke pot in New York.
But that's where we're losing the Republicans, because the majority of the people do not want to have other citizens carrying arms.
But sir, civil rights are not subject, isn't it? So if we decided we didn't want abortion to be legal anymore, or we decided that, well, we should throw people in jail for smoking pot, the idea that you have civil rights, first of all, abortion's not a civil right. Civil rights are not subject to popularity, sir. If they were, we would still have slavery.
But that's why we can't win an election, because we keep on pushing the agenda so far to a point where there's no way that
Look, if you live in New York and if you like the communists and Andrew Cuomo, then don't oppose him. But the idea that some New York politician has the right to tell people in Montana what they can and cannot have is an affront to the Constitution, sir. Thank you very much for the call.